What is up, guys? Welcome to a brand new video, and today I am finally doing what lots of people have asked me to do for the longest time, and that is to rank, and this is kind of going to be a weird title, I suppose, like what was the DC Universe shows characters' suits, but now HBO Max. Now, I'm not going to be including, obviously, because of that, The Flash, this, that, and the other. This is going to mainly include, obviously, Titans, Stargirl, Doom Patrol, and I believe this is kind of a top 25. I might not include some characters like the Gambler or the Fiddler, like, because we technically didn't get a proper good look at what they were, other than in the first episode for, like, the Gambler in that flashback scene. So this is mainly the suits, if you know what I mean, that we get out of these shows, like the Robin suit, the Red Hood suit that's coming in Titan Season 3, and yes, I decided to include Blackfire, Starfire, Red Hood, even though we haven't seen it properly in motion. We've got very high quality stills of what that suit looks like, down to the concept design level, so I know what they look like, and I feel confident that I can judge them amongst the other suits that we'll talk about today. One of my favorite things about doing these is just seeing what you guys not only thought of my ranking, but also seeing your ranking down in the comments below. So if you don't want to do like the 25 that I'm going to rank today, at least do your top 10. That would be great. And also, bear in mind, this isn't an objective ranking. That doesn't exist. This is a subjective ranking based on what I like the best. I'm not saying outright factually that this is better than this one. I'm sure a lot of you understand that, but there are still comments who are like, how could you do this? What the hell? And I think we can all agree all of those suits across all of these shows are all impeccable, but here's my ranking. Go ahead and like this video if you do go on to enjoy it, and sit back, grab a coffee, because this might be a little bit of a long one, because I love these designs for these comic book characters brought to life, and it's going to be hard. Like, this is, I'm a very indecisive person. So choosing what I love most here is very hard. It really is. So, number 25. Now, technically, I did do an honorable mention here, kind of, for, well, as I said, the Gambler or the Fiddler, even though they're not proper suits, but also Beast Boy and Raven, because I think you guys can understand we didn't get to see any proper suit from them yet. Technically, in the Titans Season 1 alternate finale that they scrapped, Raven kind of had a bit more of a comic book accurate look, but that's not official, it's not canon, so yeah, like Beast Boy, Raven, they're not in this ranking. I'm sure many of you can understand that, but 25. Number 25 in last place. And as I said, it's not because I dislike this. It's just with all the other ones, I have to put it somewhere. And that is Superboy from Titan Season 2. Now, yes, he has absolute brilliant comic book accuracy, the red S there. But at the end of the day, when I think about everything else I'm about to talk about, with Superboy's design there, despite it being very well brought to live action adaptation, he's just in last place for me because I just really do prefer all of the other designs brought to life, especially when we're talking super suit style for the other characters. And who knows, maybe in the future we might get more renditions of Superboy's evolved look, like what has happened in the comic books. Sure, you could say in a Young Justice-y way, he could just stick with the black t-shirt and the red S, but who knows? Who knows? Depending how things go, maybe he might get a little bit of an upgrade. Number 24, I put Larry, Jane, and Rita here from Doom Patrol. So you guys know Doom Patrol is basically my favorite live action adaptation of a comic book show, but Larry, Jane, Rita, they have comic book accurate looks, especially Larry, and we have been teased with her kind of Elastigirl look, but overall the Doom Patrol, I feel like in its first 2 seasons, even though some more than others have already got their look just like Larry, and it's impeccable, just in a very similar sense to what I said about the Superboy suit, it's certainly where it is because of the designs that I'm fanboying out of everything else that we're about to talk about. And I know already you guys know what I mean by that with some of those suits, but that we're going to get to, because some of them are just incredible. So number 23, this spot goes to Stargirl's Icicle. Now, why, you may ask, I think the CGI was incredible on him. The Icicle look, especially the transitions we got throughout the episodes from when we saw Jordan Mark Kent literally freeze up, those were spectacular moments, but his get-up is very plain and simple. Yet again, this isn't really taking into account properly the comic book accuracy. Like, say what you will there, but at the end of the day, it's just a coat and some, like, you know, dark pants, if you will, or trousers, as we say say in the United Kingdom. Other than that, you know, the main appeal for Jordan Markent's Icicle and Stargirl is the CGI effects that they gave to him that I felt like DC Universe pulled off very well. So number 22. Number 22 belongs... This was a bit interesting for me to figure out, because throughout this journey there are some suits that I don't dislike, but I just don't love, and there was a couple of characters who had get-ups like that where I was like, okay, so where do I really put them here? So number 22 belongs to Tigress of Stargirl. Tigress, once again, pretty comic book accurate, but there's just something about it where I just don't find it as appealing as the other suits. It's like, for all intents and purposes, it's decent. The eye makeup, maybe I would have preferred, you know, what they use for the vigilante masks for both eyes. Maybe just an actual patch rather than the shape actually being done in eyeliner. I don't know. That's just a nitpick, I guess I could say. But I don't know. Tigress was just okay to me. I don't find it spectacular out of all the Stargirl suits, and that is why she is at 22. But number 21. So I believe there is most definitely going to be an evolution of this suit coming in season 2, hopefully. Maybe not, they might keep it up, but enough of the suspense. That is the new Dr. Mid-Nite Beth Chapel's suit. So obviously this has a bit of a newbie dorky look to it, and when I say newbie, I mean that in like an endearing kind of compliment, if that makes sense. It looks good. The quality of it is great. Obviously with Stargirl, especially those who took the mantles of the heroes like Rick Tyler, especially with Beth, for example Wildcat, even though Wildcat's suit adapted to her frame, her body. Beth Chapel's is very well designed. I love everything about it, to be honest. Like, the goggles look badass. I love the cowl, the emblem, but I feel like in season 2, at least I would appreciate, fair enough she started this way, but, you know, especially with what happened with the goggles at the end, that they do a little bit of a refit for her. You know how Stargirl adjusted Starman's suit? I feel like Beth Chapel needs to upgrade this to what would complement her even more. I don't mind the newbie look. I find it charming for the show, and that does go along with her character as well. So I'm not saying it should even go, but maybe along the way they can make her look even more badass rather than like, oh, what's going on? But I don't know, because I do understand the appeal of the look that she's got right now. So would you prefer the newbie kind of dorky look to Beth Chapel's Dr. Mid-Nite costume that she's donned, or do you think and want the upgraded, I don't know how they would upgrade it, but like I'm sure they can find a way, version just like what Stargirl did Starman's suit sometime in the future. Now in number 20 is the other half of Tigress in this show at least, and that is for Sportsmaster. Now Sportsmaster, what I love about this, even though it, you know, obviously Sportsmaster suit is quite literally sports gear, it's just, it looks so good. This is why this is so very subjective, because I was about to say it is comic book accurate, but yet so are the other ones, yet they're ranked before this. But I just really like this look. I think Sportsmaster looks really badass here. I guess they could have done it in a much newbier way. For example, you know, Wild Dog on Arrow, one of his first looks was literally like I think it was like a jersey or something like that. They could have just done something like that, but they actually put quite a lot of effort into making Sportsmaster's typical sports armor, if you will, look intimidating. I just feel like he looks really menacing in his role. Number 19, it seems like we're going through quite the Stargirl phase at the minute. That's not deliberate. We are going to go into something different next. But number 19 belongs to Dragon King. Once again, very comic book accurate. The preference here for me, I just feel like it's, I don't know, it's more up my street with more of a comic book adaptation villain, if you know what I mean. I'm not even talking so much as to when the cowl's off and you see that lizard face. If anything, I feel like that kind of undoes it for me a little bit, even though that's very comic book accurate. But I kind of like the villainous, overcloaking attitude that reeks off of this suit. But number 18 is Titan Season 2 Dr. Light. Now, it's kind of almost surprises me that I put him so high up, but once again, that is because there are so many other characters. I want to give more credit to Dr. Light. I know some people don't like this suit, but what I really like about it is because it's not insanely comic book accurate. This is one of those, what I would say, innovative adaptations where they try and do something really cool with it while kind of maintaining some faithfulness to the comics. And Dr. Light's design in Titan Season 2, I was on board with from day one. I liked the tattoos he had. had with how the light was imbued throughout that. It kind of attached to his belt as well. It was kind of very archaic or like medieval in a way. Almost Marvel's Rhino aspect to it. But I appreciated how the light was imbued in, well, once again, an almost Iron Man, Tony Stark bit there in the belts. It just looks cool. I think that's the bottom line. It's a lot more of an intimidating approach they took with him. And I like that. Even though he wasn't like a main character, it was decent. Now, number 17, we're going back to Stargirl, and that is Rick Tyler's Hourman. Now, I really do like this suit. Very comic book accurate. But there's something missing about it for me, as much as I do like it. When you kind of just look at it like this photo, for example, it just feels like something's missing. I like the texture on the suit, but it's just like too much one tone, if that makes sense. I feel like the muscle padding in the suit is a bit too blatant as well. I'm not saying that this guy hasn't worked out like he has. He's not like me. But I feel like you can tell with Rick Tyler's padding underneath the cloak there and the biceps, it's kind of got one of those, well, soft kind of cushiony bits to it. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, I would tone it down just very minimalistically. And other than that, I would have just appreciated a little bit of a different texture. Overall, though, I really like it. And I know Stargirl, before anyone says this, they're going with that kind of old, you know, golden age era of comic book kind of look. And I kind of love that vibe with like the belt and stuff, but I still feel like it could have been given a bit more detail in other areas. Maybe even like a cool pattern or texture to the cloak, because that's all just very much so one shade. And I just feel like, I don't know, it comes across a little bit at times. Maybe you feel completely differently to me there. Rick Tyler's Hourman does look good in the show, but I just feel like it could be improved. And now we've hit another Stargirl trend, because 16 is Stripe. I wasn't sure really whether to include this or not, just because he is CGI a lot of the time, obviously, but they did actually make a stripe, like a physical stripe, and that's very impressive. And this is why I had to rank it where it is, even amongst just other people in super suits. Pat Dukan's stripe is a really cool and successful adaptation from the comics that personally I feel on my list, compared to the suits that I've spoke about, lands where it does. But number 15 is going to be one that I wonder, just like Beth Chappell's, is there going to be any subtle adjustments that will make it look that much cleaner? And for me, I do find this a suit that is incredibly clean already. It's definitely got that LJ Super Suits signature on it, because, you know, LJ Super Suits, they're responsible for the Robin suit, the Nightwing suit, like all the suits that you found impressive about Titans or whatever, Doom Patrol. And you can feel that. You can feel that on Wildcat, but Wildcat is at number 15. Well, as I keep reiterating, I find other suits cooler than it, and we're going to get to those. But there are some things that I think it's the common thing about it that people have, is that it's the cowl. But once again, Stargirl deliberately, these are suits that were taken from other members. Even though technically you could argue the cowl, just like the suit, should have fit her a bit better through adapting, they, at the end of the day, made it a little bit too big. Even though I think they did try and refine it anyway, I still feel like it's a little bit too big, and it could be a little bit more form-fitting on her head, and that would make it look perfect. So, for example, I think Yvette Monreal looks absolutely incredible in this part, if I could freaking find it, that you're seeing on screen right now, because, like, right here, this is, I believe, where she was going through fittings. You can see this suit, and she hasn't got the cowl on, and it just looks like a really cool suit. And I do like it when the cowl's on, especially in some angles more than others. Like some of the angles you're seeing on screen right now, it still looks really cool. I just feel like sometimes when the cowl is on, it gives the overall look something that's like, it's not as cool as if, you know, when you've just got your hair going down there. So I think, just like Beth Chappell, I would kind of like to see perhaps an upgrade throughout the seasons, whether that's next season or not. These aren't massive gripes to me. I'd be absolutely fine with Wildcat's cowl staying the same way. I just think it can look a lot better if those cheek parts were just maybe made a bit smaller. You can still give off that Wildcat look, the look the cowl is trying to get across, without it being so big on her head. One thing I really love about this suit is look at those textures on the suit. It's kind of like cat claws everywhere. It's very intricately done, not over the top. Now up next is where things start to get a bit conflicting for me. It's really hard to rank it as you get closer and closer to the top 10, especially when you have to take into account that all of these suits do look really good in general. So up next is number 14, rank 14, Brainwave. The reason why I put that above Wildcat, even though I think I would give more kudos to the Wildcat suit for like the intricate design, is just because I think the Cowlin does that for me. Maybe Wildcat would be where Brainwave is set at number 14 if it wasn't for that. But Brainwave, you know, if you look at Brainwave in the comics, I really like this adaptation. It's not done exactly like Brainwave in the comics, but it's like a really innovative, cool adaptation where it's quite plain, but he looks really good. There really isn't too much to say here other than it's quite simple. I feel like he was very menacing in the show, and the suit added to that presence of his where, you know, as if he had something to the upper part like Yvette has, it would have probably undone that for me if it looked a little bit dorky. But Brainwave here, I don't think something like this needs that texture that I'm saying maybe some other suits like Hourman's needs. I feel like this is very deliberately so done and catered towards this character. And I guess to just boil it down to a bottom line, it just works. You know, you could argue maybe some more detail in there, but I think it did what it needed to do. Now, number 13, what is my next most favored suit in this ranking? I'm going to give this one to Aqualad. Titan Season 2, I believe episode 4 was that flashback episode. It is quite plain, but I really, really like this suit. It's actually astonishing they made this just for that one episode. It's got that kind of simplicity of like the two contrasting colors on the blue on the bottom half and a kind of maroony, kind of fishy kind of color on the top. I am colorblind, by the way. I am sorry if I am saying any colors wrong. It's the shades. Trust, you get it if you know what it, yeah. Anyway, it looks really good with the gold in it. Some of you, as I kind of said earlier, may be surprised that maybe I've put this on top of other ones, but I think the texture is simple. Like, it's got a micro texture to it that is reminiscent, just like what the Robin suit, which we'll get to a bit later. Some people argue, oh, I could imagine this in the DCEU, and you can kind of imagine this somewhere in there as well. I'm not sure what I would do to improve it either. I think it's simple enough, but also it's got some like taste to it through the gold weaved throughout it in like a trimming or like a gilding, if you will. So maybe you'll disagree with me there, maybe you'll like it, but I think Aqualad's suit kicks ass. So yeah, we spoke about Aqualad, but I want to give a big shout out to number 12, and that is Cindy Berman from Stargirl with Shiv's suit. I found that really surprising. I didn't know if Shiv was going to get a suit or not. I could have just easily imagined us seeing her with like her Shiv blades out, but we got surprised with that suit that Dragon King made for his daughter. And I just, you know, what I really like about this and why it's, you know, higher than the Aquaman suit, and this is where is, as I said, it's really hard because each suit I'm about to talk about I really appreciate, and I hate putting one higher than the other one because I have to choose. But either way, what I really appreciate about this is there's a lot of details to it. The plating is subtle but not too bulky. It really fits her form really well. It adds into the kind of cyborgy aspect of Shiv with a little almost like Darth Vader control panel there in the middle. I think she just looks really decent in it because it's something that is very armored, very technological, but then also has a Roby kind of League of Assassins look to it on the lower half. So I there's not much more I can say about this other than she looks really, really cool in it. Up next is another female freaking badass from the DC Universe and HBO Max turned superhero, super suits, whatever. And that is, and I know some people are iffy about this one, so this is going to be interesting. I really like Ravager's suit from Titan Season 2. Now, for me, these suits in Titan Season 2 were so good. And I know some people think that the eye is a bit too big, but personally, I think it's very comic book accurate. I don't mind that adaptation from the comics. I still think it works here. I just think it's a really, really, really interesting suit. And what I love about what LJ Super Suits does with these suits is they just add layers and different layers and different layers on not all suits, but certain suits like this. of different textures, different kind of weavy underarmy bits, and similar to her father, Deathstroke in the show. It's kind of like a chainmail-y kind of vibe. I love the torso plate there. The belt is really awesome. You got kind of these multicolored wrist guards there. Overall, I think Rose Wilson, especially paired with the actress in the freaking suit, similar to what I said about Cindy, it just looks really good. And I love seeing Ravager on live action screen like this. It just looks really cool. Some of you may really disagree with me here. Maybe you think Aqualad looks a lot better than this, or maybe Wildcats for all I know. But for me, I think it is at 11. She's not quite in the top 10. But for a Titan suit, and usually I would have thought they will all be in the top 10. Ravager is almost there. And I just think it's really cool. Now, number 10 belongs to not so much, I guess you would say, a superhero in the traditional sense that you're used to seeing. But you may have realized that I haven't got to every Doom Patrol member yet. So number 10 belongs... This is an achievement I think is so cool because it does get pulled off so well in the show. Cliff Steele, Robot Man from Doom Patrol. I think that is such a good design. Absolutely incredible. I would rank it higher, but yet again, I know I keep repeating myself. This whole thing is about, well, I still prefer other suits over this, but I still had to recognize this and put it really high up because despite finding other super suits, if you will, to be some of my favorite that we'll get to, this just has to be one of the best that they've created for the HBO Max shows. It's just, I know, I'm just going to keep repeating myself. It's incredible, it's incredible, it's incredible. It's flawless. I would say it is flawless in terms of if you could bring Robot Man to the screen, you've just done it. Flawless. You can't get better than what they've done. Now, we've entered the top 10, so what is at number 9? Number 9 is kind of a hybrid in a way. I was just going to leave it at the 1, but I thought I'd chuck in the other one because it actually is really cool. And number 9 for me is Brake Bassinger's Stargirl suit. But I also chucked in Starman just because even though, and we could actually see it a lot more in, well, actually, I don't know. Could we see it more in season 2 since the suit's been repurposed with what happened in that after credits cliffhanger kind of scene? I don't know. Ignore that. But I really like Starman's suit. We know what it looks like. Very much so. We've seen it in action in that first episode, but Stargirl, this really belongs to Stargirl. So Stargirl's suit, this is where I feel like I'm going to be giving a lot of the same answers in the top 10. So it looks great. It looks fantastic. I love the simplicity of it, yet I love and appreciate the textures on it. The staff looks so good. It looks, all of this looks good. I love Stargirl's, well, it's made by LJ Super Suit, so what am I going to say? The reason why I chucked Starman in there once again, he's wearing the same belt. It's basically the same suit, but kind of slightly different. You've got a lot more white in the middle there. But Brake Bassinger's Stargirl, I don't know what could ever be done to make this look better. Even if this went on for 8 seasons, normally you get a suit upgrade in there. But I don't know what I don't know what you would do. It looks so good. Now, number 8, yet again, another interesting choice just because some people may not like this and may be like, Boba, how could you put this so high, man? It looks so good. And technically, we might not have properly seen it yet. But once again, number 8, we've been detailed not only from the concept designs and illustrations, we know what it looks like through an official still, and then there are BTS stills of the helmet, the hood, if you know what I mean. So yes, number 8 goes to Red Hood. Now, Red Hood looks good to me. It looks like such a good adaptation of the Red Hood suit overall, right? Red Hood, it does look really, really cool. The helmet, I still am standing by with, I do think it looks decent, but what I will say, and what I do agree with people with, is that with the hood up, it kind of does come across just like almost a millimeter or two a bit bulky. I think that is nitpicking though, because this is where you could say it might look a little bit different in the show. But here I'm straight up looking at the design. I think it looks so cool. I love the shin guards to the boots. I think the tactical kind of pants he's wearing there with the 2 guns look incredible. The belt, it's got very kind of rusty kind of feeling to everything. I love the spray painted on Red Hood Batman-esque symbol, and the body armor, the hoodie, and then the jacket on top. I just kind of leave myself thinking here, like, where does this go wrong? Like, they're doing everything right, other than maybe people have slight differing opinions of maybe how the helmet should have been constructed. Typical comments of that of like, oh, it kind of looks a bit too Iron Man-y. I wish they didn't have the line there at the bottom. Maybe if they didn't, it would look one whole kind of... But that isn't uncommon with Red Hood helmets. A lot of them have the kind of bit here for where maybe the face goes forward and you can see under it. But overall, I love this. It's where it is, just quite simply because I prefer other suits in front of it. That's it. And interestingly, this is once again another ranking where we haven't seen it in episodes. But I still stand by that I see what this looks like and I can rank it. And number 7 spot goes to Starfire's suit in Season 3. Now, this was really hard choosing between Nightwing and Starfire because she just does look so good here. There is so much going on in this suit, to the point of where I almost feel like, is there too much going on? But like, I almost don't want to subscribe to that fully because I still love everything about what I'm seeing here. We have been waiting for Corey, aka Starfire and Titans, for the past 3 seasons to get a suit. And she just looks so incredibly superhero here. And obviously alien in terms of the Tamaran vibes to this. That it's everything you could have wanted out of a Starfire suit. It kind of reminds me, and obviously Black Lightning, his suit is made by the same people who's made this suit, LJ Super Suits. Check them out on Instagram. They're incredible. You can follow them, and they often do unveilings for suits like this, just like what they did for the Blackfire suit, the Starfire suit. It looks really badass, and I can't wait to see it in motion. And I think maybe that's where some people will disagree with me here on some bits. Maybe I would feel differently about it, but I don't know. Like, looking at it very plainly and what I prefer here in this list, this image is more than enough to go off on what I feel like I can rank in between a whole bunch of suits. So up next at number 6, some people may be surprised by this one as well, and that is Titan Season 2's Nightwing suit. Nightwing looks really good. It looks really good. I agree with it overall. And look, at the end of the day, out of 25 suits, it's at number 6. But it's not higher than that. And I feel like Brenton Thwaites looks incredible in it. But once again, ignoring the reasons that I just simply prefer other suits over this one in this ranking, the improvements I would give to it is that it's just a tad a bit bulky. I didn't actually agree with that when I first heard it from people, but the more and more I looked at the Nightwing suit on Brenton Thwaites, the more I found myself agreeing with people that it did seem a little bit too... It popped out of him a bit too much. I'm not saying it has to be like, you know, Supergirl suit on the CW with how it's very skin tight, or even Aqualad's with what we've went over. It doesn't need to be like a Nightwing rendition of that. I like the armored look to it. It makes sense that he's got plated stuff on him. But I just feel like it pokes out a bit too much, where it just looks a bit too bulky, in certain shots at least. Other than that though, I commend this design. It's really, really cool. It doesn't quite literally have a very obvious bird on it, but it's still very symbolic of that Nightwing design. And what more can I say other than it's very deserving to be where it's at in the top 10. And I would put it higher, but I just prefer some other suits. But it's definitely one of the best ones. Oh, God, I'm worried about the comments just because I feel like so many people are going to disagree. But either way, number 5, even though we haven't seen it in the episodes, I stand by what I'm saying. I can see it right here. And I do put this above Nightwing. And number 5 belongs to Blackfire. The reason I think it belongs to Blackfire is because I'm assessing it and I think it looks cooler than the Nightwing suit. It just does to me. If the Nightwing suit maybe had some of the improvements that I kind of detailed, maybe that would make it a lot higher, even above Blackfire. But also the interesting factor is here, I prefer Blackfire's suit over Starfire's suit. Personally for me, I think the bit more toned down approach with details to that of Starfire's suit just kind of suits me more, if you know what I mean. And I really love what they've done with Blackfire's suit. I think she looks great. I just think, for me, the reason why this is higher than Starfire's is just, well, yeah, I appreciate the details of that, but this is where it comes down to your preference, the subjectiveness to it, what you really do think appeals to you more. And Blackfire's toned down vibe to the suit just comes across a lot more interesting to me, because without those specks and weaving parts to it, and you've just got kind of like some purpley bluey aspects with the upper steel looking torso and the parts on her arms, they're the biceps and triceps. It's just I feel like that does a lot more. Like, less is more. Like, there is a lot going on with this suit. Like, there's a lot of jewels and patterns and stuff going over it, but it's not as much as the Starfire, where I feel like, for me, that kind of offers a lot more, like, boldness to it. And I think that this is one of LJ Supersuit's best designs. Like, especially, like, look at the shin guards down to the boots. Like, this is, to me, a lot more appealing than Nightwing's, Red Hood's. Even though they're all impeccable designs brought to real life, there's something about this that we only got recently and that I broke down in the video where I just think, look how good she looks. It is just remarkable. But number 4. Number 4 belongs to another lady, and this is one of my favorite live-action superhero suits, not only amongst DC Universe and HBO Max shows, but movies and TV shows in general. And it is Connor Leslie's Wonder Girl. Now, Donna Troy and Wonder Girl, not only is Connor Leslie just the perfect casting in terms of, like, if we're talking strictly representing the image of the character, but she's got the suit here, and paired with Connor Leslie, she just literally looks like the Amazon's freaking Wonder Girl. It's incredible. I love everything about this. I felt like whenever we saw her on screen with it, it was just one of the best suits, like, out of whoever was standing with her. I want to see more of it. I don't know if we're getting Troyer in season 3 and they're going to kind of change it up to maybe be black and gold trimmed, like I've kind of conceptualized myself with a little newbie edit of mine. But I don't know what more else to say about this other than you got the typical superhero texturing on the base layer of the red there. I love the stars on it, the Wonder Girl belt. It needs no explanation. But number 3. Number 3, I think that this is such a good suit, not only just in live action from comic book adaptation, but it is just so intimidating. He was the villain of season 2, probably guessed it, but number 3 goes to S.I. Morales' Deathstroke. Wow. Now, I am drawing a comparison to the CW because they have done a CW suit. And I don't want to be that guy who's like, oh, look, Walmart Deathstroke and whatever, premium Deathstroke. But the mask on the CW, it does feel like if you were, and I do like that suit. It is like a good CW suit. But compared to this, I feel like it pales in comparison. You may prefer the CW Slade, but that's not what we're ranking here. We're ranking what it looks like. And this looks so good. This brings from what the CW did with their physical suit to a, like, what feels like a fan film to, like, what is a movie production. I love everything about it. I love the kind of Under Armour, where, as I said, it kind of has this reminiscent of what Ravager had, the chainmail look to it. The shoulder pauldrons, everything about it is just aesthetically pleasing. Very comic book accurate, something that I would definitely sign off on if I was in charge of something and I was bringing Deathstroke to live action. I'd be like, oh my god, I just can't believe we even pulled this off. People are gonna love this. I think it's great. It's at number 3 out of all of the HBO Max and DC Universe suits. I think that's deserving, at least to me. That's my preference, is for it to be at number 3. And ladies and gentlemen, we are at the last 2, basically at the end of the video now. And I'm still having a hard time. I'm going back and forth on this. I feel like number 2 should be number 1. But then I feel like number 1 should stay where it's at because it's something that I've resonated with ever since the very beginning of DC Universe, way before it even went to HBO Max with these 2 suits. And maybe you've guessed it because I haven't spoke about these character suits just yet. And even though I say I'm very indecisive, I'm going to have to stick with what I've wrote down here. Number 2... and this is arguably number 1, but you kind of get what I mean, for me, is the Robin suit. The Robin suit is just perfect. People have said it looks like, you know, they put edits with Brenton Thwaites' Robin from Titan Season 1 with those posters up against Ben Affleck's Batman. It kind of blends in. It is just such, if not the best Robin suit live action adaptation that has ever been done out of all of the movies or whatever. It is just, it's perfect. Obviously, Jason has worn it as well, so just chuck that one in here while you're at it. But like Brenton Thwaites, when I'm looking at these images, it's flawless. It looks like I am looking at Robin, and there is not one damn thing I would change about this. And it's just so good to me no matter how much I appreciate all the suits that I've aforementioned in this video, this has to be joint first/second, you know? It's just Robin. In a 2021 world where you make a Robin suit, this is what you make. And I don't know what else you would do. I also really like the little fabric-y pattern to the under-goldeny bit of this, the cape. That's really cool. I'm not going to blabber on forever because I'm just going to, you know, when these are my 2 favorite suits, what more are you going to hear me say other than I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, it's perfect. And number 1, say what you will about these characters. I thought they were done very, very well in Season 1. They were my favorite characters, and I kind of didn't know how to feel about that in Season 2. But one thing that remains the same is the designs. And number 1, for me, the best live-action adaptation suit that I prefer out of all of these suits, personal to me, that is just simply the best, is indeed Hawk and Dove. And I'm just saying them together because they're a pair. Hawk and Dove just look in, I feel like there's something so charming about this. Like, the Robin suit is incredible, something so charming about it, but this, it's like, if you looked at the comic book pages, you would think, man, how are they going to pull that off in live action without it kind of being deviated too far from it, or just not looking too great? Because not only do they just look great, but they practically look identical to what they're supposed to look like without it just looking silly and dumb. Not only that, when they are in motion, in specific with this suit, and yes, I'm mentioning in motion here because I feel like that really applies to these suits, because when they like move, you see like the feathers like flail along their movements, and it's like, wow. It looks so badass. This is so intelligently done. I was so taken back by it when I first saw it, and I still look at it, and I just see such an achievement. It never ceases to just impress me. I love the feathers from any angle, the side angles. I love Dove's. I think Dove's, I don't know, it's hard. The reason why I like Dove so much, because you've got that torso bit where the feathers are almost patternized as if like they're on top of each other. Well, like as feathers would be on a bird. At the end of the day, everyone's going to have different opinions here, and you may prefer the others, but there's something about these guys that just screams an achievement of superhero suit. They're vigilantes in this iteration. I like the practicalities of what they did with how the feathers are very bladey in combat. And I don't know. It's really hard, as I said, between the Robin suit, because that is almost a joint first for me. But Hawk and Doves, I have to give it to them. Out of all of the DC Universe shows that then went to HBO Max, I have to say Hawk and Dove win it. But ladies and gentlemen, after me blabbering so long about these super suits and their designs and what to me are my personal favorites, what are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. And if you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button, subscribe for more random videos like this, and also leave some video suggestions for other types of videos like this, because I only do these types of videos every once in a while, and maybe there's some other kind of rankings or top things that you want to see from me. Other than that, check out the top pinned comment for links to my social media, my Twitter. Definitely follow me there. I'm very active there. I have a Discord server that you can join, but I think that's everything. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the HBO Max now universe, I suppose, in the next video. Goodbye.